Good morning. Good morning, Reverend Trollinger.
Good morning, good sir. How are you?
Fine. How are you today?
Good. We'll be doing this tomorrow.
I think I do this all day now, all day, all night.
Well, I do find it less stressful than trying to drive and trying to find materials and stuff like that. You're able to grab it, do it, and keep it going.
Exactly. Oh, you mean having it Zoom rather than having to do it in person?
Yeah, because you can always do it in an hour.
Exactly. And you can schedule it back to back.
Right.
You don't have to worry, I could be there in a half hour, you know.
But sometimes people want to talk a whole lot, and on Zoom, I don't find that. It's like bang, bang, bang. Like
Get it done.
We have church business meetings in 45, 35 minutes now.
Wow.
Yes.
That's like the Guardians. We have our meetings, and they usually last. You start at 8:00 on the first Wednesday of each month, and they used to last since like 9:30, 9:45. Now, 8:45, 8:45, we're done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I do not think that we're going, and Calvary, we don't think we're going to lose this method.
Okay. Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to keep this method.
Yeah. Yeah. And our situation with church is that half our church, we are evenly divided. Half the church wants to come in, go back in whenever it's time, and half of the church.
Wow.
Zoom.
Yep.
They're not, it's crazy. They're not looking to come back.
Wow.
Yeah. So
gotta build a smaller church.
Listen, everybody's considering what do we do with these massive buildings?
Yeah, I know.
And one of the things that I enjoy the fact is that I did not step my hand into building the 1,500 seat auditorium.
Good thing, man. Good thing.
Because you can imagine.
Nah.
1,500 seat auditorium for what?
Ooh, yeah, for 55, 60 people.
Yeah, and then you have to start thinking about how can we be in competition with City One and the other theaters around. So we have to rent out our place.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's something that Captain Spencer don't have to worry about.
I know. What's up, Cap? How you doing?
Good morning. How's everybody doing? Hey, Rev.
Yeah, hey, since he became a captain, since he became a captain, he be wearing the tie right now.
I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, Rev. I mean, yeah, it is. You got the tie right. You're not wearing. You're always, and you got the pocket hanger. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You listen, y'all know how I am about stuff like this. Yes. It must be correct. Yes.
So I want to call Wade out. Can you talk about it? Because I got a lot of little birdies,
Well, this is being recorded, so I don't want to talk about it in this venue.
You gonna call me later? You gonna call me after the meeting?
I'll call you after the meeting, yeah.
Listen, sister, Karen knows that if I'm on the broadcast, it's gonna be a good one.
It's funny because I actually watched some of our. Hey, she's listening.
I'm always listening.
I knew you had something else to do this morning, but I actually watched some of these broadcasts. They're on YouTube.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. Our meetings are on YouTube.
Oh, Lord.
I'll be right back. Let me put my tie on.
I might try to act a little better. I doubt it.
Just be you, Rev.
It would be me, right?
Just be you.
Be yourself, exactly.
Listen.
That's why you where you are right now, because you're being yourself, man.
Yep.
You're not being anybody else.
Nah. I told that's what I told Calvary all the time. I said, listen, yeah, I am what I am. I'm not changing.
Yeah.
So we're gonna smile.
All right, Judy says she could make this time, but I don't know if she accepted the meeting. Karen, do you know? I guess she stopped listening.
Judy Triolo?
Yeah.
You want me to call her?
Sure. If you don't mind, thanks.
I got a call the other day from Frank Williams in regards to the recruiting for White Plains Fire Department.
Oh yeah, they're having a test. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we got to find some brothers. Can you take the police test and the fireman's test?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I tell people take everything.
Okay.
And also with the police test, if let's say White Plains, Yonkers, and New Rochelle give me it the same day, you sign up for each test and just take one exam for all three cities. And people don't realize that. They're like, oh my God, but I say take everything because you don't want to sit there and just put all your eggs in one basket. I'm waiting for, Greenberg to call me. I'm waiting for Greenberg to call me. And I'm not taking White Plains. I'm not taking Yonkers. I'm just waiting for Greenberg. And if they don't call you, they don't have any openings. And then your boy took Yonkers. Now he's hired. It's like,
Right.
Don't sit there and wait for one job. But yeah, I tell people take everything. You can take the fire, police, sanitation, everything. Whatever comes up, take it.
Now, does the city also require the top three of them?
For the fire department?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. 80.
I know you have to be a White Plains resident for one thing for the fire department. I'm not sure. I think it's 1, 2, 3. The cap can probably explain better.
They go down the list from 1 to wherever, and they don't choose out of the top 3. I think they go straight down the list.
Oh, straight down. Okay, but it's White Plains residents only, correct? Yeah.
If you don't live in White Plains, you're wasting your time.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And they go to your house to make sure you live there.
Oh yeah, they check.
And they check your drawers. They go in your cabinets.
Tara Altamiro is the investigator, and she is thorough.
And I've heard cases when I was on the job of people trying to, fake like they live in White Plains and say, yes, my apartment. It's their grandmama's house. So the investigator go, they open a closet. It's all old ladies' clothes. Open a drawer, ladies' clothes. There's nothing in there that shows a man lives there at all.
Wow. Hold on a second. I'll be back.
Yep.
I spoke to Judy. She said, give her like 2 or 3 minutes and she'll be on.
Okay.
And I just texted Chief Castelli. Just
right,
give him a reminder. Yep.
So you're on the 3rd floor or 2nd floor?
2nd floor.
Okay. Now, you're not in the same office you were 13 years ago when I left, right? Are you?
In the Cassie office down in the corner?
No, last time I was there. You were in the 2nd floor by a window, across from the Cassie office.
Yeah. I was down the hallway. Now I'm in the middle. I'm like, if you come off the elevator and look straight, you can actually see into my office.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I used to be the office right behind you, I believe.
Yep. Waiting for Kralik to retire so I can take that office down at the end.
Oh, you like his office?
He's got the bathroom.
Oh, he's in that office. Okay. That used to be the chief's office.
Yeah, the chief moved upstairs. The chief's on the 3rd floor.
Okay. That's right. There's only one deputy commissioner right now. There's our
Chief Commissioner Bradley.
Yeah,
Commissioner Tom, and then Commissioner Bradley, and then Chief Castelli.
Yeah, but there used to be 2 deputy commissioners at one time.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
That was actually prior to 2010.
Wow. Yeah, I left for 2008.
Yeah.
So you get in a big office, Spencer?
Nah. Just wishful thinking.
Oh well, be like me. I got 3 offices. I only got 3 because I ain't got no first lady.
I actually don't need an office because I'm rarely in my office. I'm always bouncing around somewhere. So, but at least it gives me somewhere to hang my hat, in the morning.
I got you. Why you have 2 braided hats? Are they a difference?
Nah, there's just one. I just like the way, it's symmetrical.
Okay.
Symmetrical display, Rev.
Listen, you know how I do.
Very good observation.
Listen, I'm trying to figure out that brick road.
Oh yeah, the yellow brick road. That was the FBI National Academy. I went down there in January of 2012, down to Quantico for 3 months. The job sent me down to the National Academy, which is a command level training for police commanders from all over the world. So it's 3 months. It's like college, but it's like college, but you got money. You're not broke going to college. and the classes are intense. The networking is outstanding. I got friends in Uganda and Egypt and Thailand and Australia and every state of the union. And it's the yellow brick though is a 9-mile obstacle course that you have to run. So along with college, there's PT. You got to do training like 2-3 times a week, and they build you up to run the yellow brick road, which is a 9-mile run with a 3-mile obstacle course in the middle of the run. So in order to get that yellow brick, you got to complete the yellow brick road, which is, the movie, The Silence of the Lambs, where in the first scene where Clarice is running out in the woods and everything, that's part of the yellow brick road on Quantico base in Virginia.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good academy. I wanted to go, and I got sent to the DEA Academy, which is like the stepchild to the FBI National Academy. DEA Academy is 2 weeks, same campus, but it's 2 weeks.
It's on the same campus. It's on the same campus.
I know. We get the trailers in the back of the big house. But I met some guys from all over the world too. England, Italy, Singapore. Yeah. Same thing, but it was like the when the FBI people walked by, we had to sit there with our heads down.
Yeah. So the chief is gone. The chief is a graduate. Commissioner Chong's a graduate. Myself, Captain Murphy, Captain Kralik, and Todd Moskowitz, Lieutenant Moskowitz. Okay. So we have several people that are current graduates of the National Academy.
Nice. All right, Judy's on. So we have everybody except for the chief. You said the chief is not going to be.
I texted him.
All right. I mean, you're here.
Yeah, more important, you're here. And I'm so sorry, everyone, that I was late. I didn't see that email, and then I just ran and got on Zoom. So I'm glad to see everyone. I'm sorry if I held you up.
No worries. I think the chief is just joining us too. So we have everybody.
Yep.
All right. Did you guys get the paperwork that the chief sent me, and I sent it out to you guys about the with the city's response to some of our questions about the exam and numbers and the psychological? Okay. Yeah. The reason I wanted to meet is because they were asking for a final request, and because of after seeing the numbers that the city sent us, I think we may have to adjust our our document sheet here. And that's why I want to have this meeting. It shouldn't take long, but we're probably going to have to take some of these requests away. Like, let me see here. Recruitment for the civil service exam, provide civil service exam preparation for all city jobs, including police. Okay, for that one, I guess the city does provide civil service test prep for the police exam given by Tim Dolph, and they're saying that they do it, I guess, weeks before the exam. What was the rest? I think they said it's not practical to continue.
I think they do several preps. Is there one?
Yeah,
prep?
several preps. I'm talking about just for the police though. Say they do several preps for all of the exams. But they said Tim Dolph has 30 years experience because we mentioned professional level training module. I think we also mentioned having the training in the Winbrook Commons or Slater Center area. And I don't know, did they reply to that?
Yeah, I know her issue was that she has to make the training available to anybody who has signed up, and their only concerns are like the logistics, parking, room, and that would be even if what's her name, Yaskara? I can't remember her last name, but our contact over there is if they're able even to provide a space. I think they would be. but we're making presumptions that, you know what I mean? So I get what she's saying. Parking, I never thought about it. I mean, gallery is street parking, but if you get 50, 100 people coming to that, I don't know what their thing is that might cause issues. She just,
I wonder if they could consider doing, because I know like people don't have cars. You get into high school is a you know, it's not an easy walk if you want to, if the exam, you know, the exam is usually in the winter or the late fall. But I wonder if they can consider doing it maybe twice, one time at the high school and one time, you know, same thing. So people won't go to both, just pick one. You either go to the high school on Tuesday or go to the Slater Center on Thursday or Winthrop on Thursday. It's the same thing for both of them.
I agree with you. I'm just going by, you know, their logistical stuff makes sense too. But,
Yeah, no, it does.
I think that, you know, and even more than once. That's what I'm saying. Isn't they only give one like test prep class? Or do
No,
they,
it's an ongoing.
yeah,
It's an ongoing thing leading up to the test.
right.
But it's one sign up for you know, for the, I guess, for the duration. You know what would make more sense though? The library.
Yeah, even library. Yeah, that makes sense. It's parking there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an easy, and that might be an easy do too. So you know what's good about this stuff is that, you know, not that we wouldn't start in 3 years, but a lot of this stuff we just gave the test, right? So
Okay.
this test I mean, it's good and bad, but this test goes into effect January 1. We have a little bit of time to work on the more of the recruitment and more of the thing, and sometimes that stuff has to be a little bit more timely. I mean, we can't start 3 years out and tell people, hey, wait for a test that's coming around.
Yeah.
So we do have time to get this right and to continue to think on really good ways to expand our recruitment and our outreach and you know, I would love for us to be able to, the religious communities to host some type of job fair, and get us in there and say, ask us questions. You know what? You know, you want to be a cop, and I said I'd love to include the fire department, but then everybody's going to want to join the fire department. So we got to think about that. But
Including me.
yeah, no, yeah.
Forget it. You can't do it.
I'll sign the transfer.
Well,
But, you know,
okay.
but yeah, definitely, I think that trying to
So maybe our recommendation could just be to take a bigger look at locations of giving the exam to be able to accommodate all residents of White Plains. Because I know when I coach Little League baseball and I try to get people to sign the kids up, and the number one problem is, how am I getting my kid to practice? I don't have a car. And you know, you don't want to say, well, I'll have a parent pick them up, because then you're putting a kid in someone else in an adult's car. So we try to avoid that, and you know, you're stuck. You know,
I just think what she's saying is she can't let. I know we are focusing on White Plains, but she can't focus on White Plains. She has to send it out to everybody. So theoretically, they have to provide for some type of parking and stuff like that. But that, I think that the library, it would just be running two, or maybe flip-flopping one class there, one class there, so that way, you know,
that'll work too. Yeah.
You know, so that way it provides a little, you know, you only have to worry about getting out to the high school every other class or something like that.
Okay.
I think it's important too to utilize social media and our outreach, like the Loft and other organizations, when tests are coming up, to get the information to us, and we can post. You know, we send out a weekly e-blast to almost 5,000 people, and they're LGBTQ and allies. But if we had religious organizations, other organizations, the Loft, just reaching out to the community community members that aren't necessarily reached.
I'm sorry, Julian, I agree 100%. I didn't mean to exclude anybody. I was just kind of talking about, you know, I saw Reverend Challenge's face, and it's just an example of a part of the community where we can do more outreach. But I do agree. And the same thing, if you put a blast out and try to get interest in law enforcement, we would love to go and have a question. What does it mean? What are the, what's the salary? What can you expect? The whole thing, so people have to make intelligent decisions on whether they want to even sign up for the test. So I agree with that.
Chief, I have a question for you. Who do you know that you have a can of Lysol?
I have been hoarding that for, this is about, this is back from February. I use it very sparingly. If you want to bring some stuff to be disinfected, it's $1 a spray. And
Okay, got it.
Dave, you can have a couple of free sprays, seeing as we're on these committees together. But then after that, we charge.
I hear you.
Now,
when I look at the numbers, Wade, I'm sorry, I noticed that especially for Black females, the numbers are so super low. So it might be, interesting to find ways to reach POC women. I mean, it doesn't seem to be as big an issue. There's a lot of people that identify as Hispanic, but not Black.
Nah, that's true, and that's why one thing I wanted, with the not with this subcommittee, but the other subcommittee about posting stuff publicly so people can see, what the numbers are, and then maybe other people will help recruit, Black females, Black males, Hispanics, just to get the numbers up. If they see, hey, white players kind of low in these numbers, and I own a barbershop or whatever, and I see that, I'm like, hey, what's your daughter doing after college when she graduates,
Yeah.
So and it's hard because even in my job now, we're trying to recruit Black females and just finding them, the ones that want to take the job. It's very difficult. I wanted to ask a question. The flyer for the police exam, how prior to the exam does a flyer how come out? Is it like a year before? I know you sign up like September through August through like October for the November exam, but how soon does the flyer come out?
So we get those flyers probably March or April.
Okay.
Before the test in November. And so because the filing date is typically done in July or something around there, like July or August. Even if the test isn't given to November, the filing date is done like a couple of months before the test. So we get those. We get enough time to get the flyers out.
I was thinking about
the city.
Yeah, I was thinking about the schools. Students graduating from like even like Berkeley College in White Plains. If the flyer can get to those students before they go home for the summer.
Yep.
Also if anybody's graduating in January or December.
We have done that, right, Jim? Where we've taken applications and handed them out at Berkeley. Went to the high school. Went to El Centro.
WCC, the Westchester Business Institute, so Rochambeau, all of them.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So just if they can possibly get it out during the winter, just to, the kids are talking about it before they start thinking about running out of school for the summer. Especially the college age kids.
That's probably a better thing if we can get like a save the date, notice out to the community, maybe a year before or 9 months before to make sure that everybody's up on it.
We need to ask, I don't know who sets the date, whether it's the personnel or the state, but I know they are hesitant to put it out when they don't have a date because then they have to send out or print subsequent things. And, a lot of this, from my understanding, there's a money component to it. The administration of the test costs a lot of money. So if they put out something, it's coming, and fill out the application without an application, when it's due and when the test is going to be given, I think that causes personnel some issues. But I'm going to tell her that the soonest we can have the information, or if we can push to have that information and the date set sooner, gives us more time to recruit. You know what I mean? Because that's the recruiting season. Once that application comes out, or we know it's going to come out. Because if we start talking to people, but we don't have anything to give them, I don't know if we're going to get any buy-in or get them back the second time. But if we talk to people and have the application, I think that's a concrete thing that they can attach themselves to.
Okay. And also another thing about, like people come home from school in November and they may graduate, like, you come home from school for Thanksgiving, there's a test coming up, right after you graduate. So if I can get the information now while I'm home, my mom hands me an application. Hey, son, there's a test coming up next year. You should take it. You graduate in May. Just, a couple of things. Even if you don't have a date, just, hey, there's a test next year. Sometime in, 2024, there's a test in December. So be ready for it in November.
Karen, do you think this would be something that would merit the mayor's weekly blast when the time is right to remind residents that if they have people, relatives, sons, daughters who are interested to, and then give them information on how to get the application, whether it's online or in person? Would that make sense somewhere down the line?
Yeah, sure. I think we would be open to that.
That would be a great way to reach residents too, if you have.
Yeah.
Right, that goes directly to residents only, and it goes to every household in the city. So that's a terrific way to get to everybody. We also have a monthly electronic newsletter that we send out from the mayor's office that I work on. So that can go in as well. That's another option. And then we usually work with you guys. I think Lieutenant Drago does the digital signs too.
And we put it on our social media, the city social media,
right,
our website.
Right. And there are a couple of other city departments that have pretty active followings. Frank Williams, obviously the Youth Bureau is one, but also Rec and Parks and the library have big lists and also do e-blasts a lot. And there have been times when we have utilized that to expand our reach, and you guys could do that as well.
Sounds good. And also fraternal organizations like the Guardians will help out with recruiting the Westchester Hispanic Officers Association.
Right.
So.
And I love the idea of using the library because it's a city facility, so that is good in terms of costs, and it's very close to the downtown area, and it has parking right there. So that's all. That's a great suggestion. I think it was maybe Captain Spencer who suggested that. Forget.
Yeah, I know, Rev. I'm saying the same thing, shaking our head, knowing, you know what that's going to do to us now.
I'm thinking, I'm going to bring them back down to humble.
All right, so I guess we can move on to the qualifications part. So we got that part covered. Sitting on the sheet out. But one thing we mentioned about giving a possibility of giving White Plains residents extra points in the exam, but that's pretty much against state civil service law. So that can't be done unless we get the governor to do something about that. Give test give the local test in 2-year increments between the 4-year exam. And I think that was because of the number of White Plains residents that I guess passed the test and qualified. The numbers are too small to have a local list.
Wait, let me ask a question.
Sure.
You said to get the governor, would it be the governor or the legislature that would have to look at it? Because
probably the legislator.
But it would be for the entire state, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be beneficial? So maybe we should lobby Senator Cousins and whoever else to look at that, because we are talking about statewide reform.
Yeah,
I agree.
So something that we should, talk to the states, talk to Senator Cousins. So once we talk to her, she talks to everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
It may be
Can I just throw a counterpart in there though? It sounds great, but that may keep minority officers from getting jobs in more affluent communities.
Got you.
You understand what I'm saying?
It's funny because you mentioned it, because I remember,
I wouldn't have a shot to be a cop in Pound Ridge if that was the case. So we got to be careful with that.
Maybe it could be because years ago, Harrison chief came to one of our meetings, Guardians meeting, and to address why there's no African Americans on the Harrison Police Force. And he said, if any Harrison resident, because they had to hire from the town, and he says, you know, if any African American resident of Harrison takes a police test, first of all, takes it and passes, I'm going to hire him. But he said, you know, the African Americans that live in Harrison aren't taking a police test. You know, most of them are, you know, they go into Ivy League schools and but they're not taking a police test. So he said, you know, show me one that takes the test and passes, I'm going to hire that guy or that female. But you know, it doesn't happen. So I see what you mean, Cap, about, you know, the Town Ridge. If you take the test and you don't live there, you can't get hired there.
So, you know, and I do think, I know when we evaluate all this, is that what we have right now is probably the best possible thing. If extra points is not the way, and I kind of agree with Captain Spencer, I don't think the legislature is going to single out cities or anything else. They'll either put it across the board that you can give points to residents, and that could have unintended consequences. You saw the numbers. I mean, we do have the consent decree, which certainly was imposed upon the department because, you know, 40 years ago, because it was not as diverse as it should be. Well, we have taken that and used it to our benefit. You see the numbers, and trust me when I can tell you this is not, you know, it says it, I believe, right in the application that you don't have to be White Plains resident, but it may, I don't know the wording, but it may be considered or something like that. And all I can tell you is that we absolutely consider it.
No,
you know, we that's the first thing we look at when we look at that bigger group of people is who's from White Plains. You know what I mean? So we try to identify those and get the interview if they fall within the band, get the interview, get them set up and see if they are, you know, get the background done. So we are doing that. I think you see the numbers too. The bigger part here is the recruitment, is getting enough people who want to take the test, who want to be law enforcement, who then pass. You know what I mean? To give us a nice pool of White Plains residents. So, I mean, this is the committee. I think in this and what we have in place, I don't know, can it be improved upon other than maybe, as you said, maybe try some higher level stuff in the state, but
Steve, you know what might help us though? If we could have a recommendation to allow us to start the band instead of starting at 100 to 90 or whatever, starting it from 100 to like 85. That would give us
the band. Yeah.
But that, you know, so that again, it's a federal thing. That gets and I think it is the list gets assessed outside of us. We don't set the band. It is through a law firm that is through the federal government that is responsible for all the consent decree. So they look at it and I don't know what criteria they use other than I think they probably use the general demographics to extrapolate the list out. So that way the list is at least representative of the demographics or provides a certain amount of diversity for which we can pick from.
Okay.
And again, I'm not, you know, if, you know, the Hispanic representation is always lower. We hire a lot of Hispanic and then a lot of them get hired away, or used to. A lot, as you said, me and you, Wade, and everybody else we've talked, people love White Plains cops.
Yeah.
We're well trained. So if there's smaller town jobs that are looking to, you know, satisfy their diversity needs and they can grab a White Plains cop who happens to be African American or Hispanic or female, that's where our issues are. But my point was we do look to our diversity to see, do we have certain needs? So we will, you know, at a time when we don't have a lot of maybe some Hispanic officers have been transferred out or Black officers have transferred out. We'll look to make sure that we you know, everything being equal, White Plains and minority would put people ahead of the pack in general.
Okay.
The way we do it, and I do think that it happens naturally. You know what I mean? That our hiring practices are, we get a good pool. We have a good interview staff, and we whereas the need for diversity is always there, we don't overly or artificially push it. You know what I mean? It works out very well, or it's equitable. At least I think, anyway. But
All right. So basically, the band, 90 to 95, 85 to 90. That's set by that's a federally set band that the legal folks, they follow.
right.
Okay.
And then the only way we can open it is up if we give them some, if we indicate that we request it, and then they have to review who's left on the list, and then they make the determination that the list can be opened further to provide for diverse candidates.
Okay. So if you say, listen, between 85 and 95, there's only one diverse candidate. Can we go down to 80? They'll consider it with that, argument.
Yeah, I mean that's after we do hiring. They won't, their banding of it is they're banding it based on the diversity. So
Yeah, they already know. Yeah. Okay.
And we have a bunch of people who fail the background. Some people fail the medical. Some people fail
Gotcha.
other testing. Other people interviewed just poorly where it was not. We can look at this and go, listen, we just don't have anybody other than male whites, let's say, 90% or whatever. I'm making these numbers up, but we can petition the feds through the law firm that is contracted out to say we're requesting a review to expand the list.
Okay.
I don't know if we've ever had to do that. It might have happened on this list where it went from 85 to 80, I believe.
Okay.
It started at 85, and then it went down to 80.
The current list that you're hiring off of right now.
I think so, yeah, is 80. It went down, started, usually 90. It ends up that it just works out at 90, at least my experience. This past list that is expiring in December 31st was started at 85.
Okay.
The feds started at 85, and then I believe it went down to 80.
But it's normally 85 to 95, or it's test by test?
I mean, my experience is that it's usually 90 and above. It offers that good diversity that the feds in the past have. It is generally started by 90. Sometimes when we use the list before the feds certify it, we start at 90 and above.
Okay.
Because it's a safe area, and then if the feds come in and say 85 above, then we just expand it to that.
I know, and I always, because people call me up if they're on the list, or the kid, or the nephew, and I'm like, first thing I say before I even go any further, what they score, what do they score? Because that's the, if they don't have high enough score, there's no. But I can say when organizations like the Guardians reach out to public safety and say, listen, this candidate, we want to, recommend this candidate. That person, if they're reachable, they get the interview. So, we appreciate that. You guys are fair like that. Reverend Charles did the same thing. If you say, listen,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and that's certainly what we take into account community recommendations without a doubt. And I know you've already given me some. You're probably gonna have to remind me.
Don't worry, I will.
Wade?
Yes, Judy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Chief. What I'm hearing is this is all super important, but I think the bigger issue when you look at the numbers is in the recruitment.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Black folks are not looking to become cops.
You're right.
What can we do to better improve that in the recruitment? Because that's the only way, because the numbers are so low on who's testing, right? Exactly. So you're going to have, you don't have diversity because people aren't taking the test.
You're 100% right.
So that I think is something we really need to focus on, how to recruit.
And that goes beyond the police department. I think that goes beyond like the churches,
Right.
your organization, like the Guardians. We're going to start this dialogue next year where we're going to have it's going to be called like an hour with the Guardians or Q&A with the Guardians, and each session, it's going to be monthly, is going to be about a different theme. One theme may be financial responsibility, how to manage your credit. One theme is going to be about careers in law enforcement. We have police, corrections, and probation in our organization. So one month it may be about becoming a police officer. And we're going to reach out to all the community groups throughout Westchester and Rockland County. And thank God for Zoom, because that's how we're going to do it. We're not going to have people come to a location. We're going to just have everybody just like this and have a speaker talk, a professional speaker if it's financial stuff. If it's law enforcement, we'll have, active and retired law enforcement officers speak about the benefits of careers in law enforcement. And we're hoping that will help recruit, because it's not just White Plains. I know the Commissioner Yonka says he has a hard time recruiting. He says, I can't get people to take tests. When I was doing recruiting for White Plains and you try to get people to take the police test, it's hard. I mean, they just have no desire.
Wade, one of the things is we can do it by Zoom, but also I think once this COVID thing is over, we can visit either once or twice the event that we held at Theodore D. Young several years ago in regards to the police. I think it was just uniformed people all together. The police and the firemen were there. And the young people, we targeted middle school up to high school, up to community college. And I think the major thing that I was in a room when they start talking about salaries, when they talk about what age of retirement, when they talked about the benefits and stuff like that, that's what perked that whole room up to look at law enforcement. And then I know the strategy then, and probably you and Spencer were real young at the time. So the brothers that presented looked like their older brothers. Mm-hmm. And so when they saw people that looked like them, were a little young, the same age as them, it became a whole nother story. And then you had the community police officers now, because I worked in Greenberg, I only can say Greenberg at the time, because the community police officers were cool and, intact with the community. So when they presented, it was great. And then Commissioner Chung, I know this was old, because I know Spencer and you were both young. Commissioner Chung had just become commissioner. So he was the first Asian commissioner. And so that took on a whole nother way. So I know that it's gotta be an interpersonal relationship. I know with COVID that we ain't gonna be able to do that right away. But when this stuff is over, you can do it at my church, and I know you can do it at Theodore Young and stuff like that. That interpersonal relationship, and Chief, what we hope to be doing for 2021 is to have that continuing interaction with the police, and programming. That is going to make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
Now, 100% right. And like I said, Chief and Captain, when you guys start recruiting, reach out to me, to Paul Hood, the Guardians, the Westchester Hispanic Association.
We have Christina Brown, who's a Guardian.
Yeah, she comes to our meetings. Yeah, so and we've actually helped like Rockland County police out with their recruiting efforts. So, reach out to us and other organizations. It would definitely help out, because I know the struggle. It's not easy.
One of the things I got out of Reverend Trollinger was that we're old now.
I know. He sit up 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, like you too.
We all, my birthday was yesterday. I turned 55. So
happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Yeah,
Little youngster.
Yeah, I remember when I was 55. Ooh,
me too.
Yeah.
I started Calvary at 55. Okay.
Wow.
My question is, how old do you have to be to actually take the test? I don't think I ever knew that.
I believe you have to be 18 to take the test, but you have to be
20 to get hired, right?
20 to get hired.
You might be able to take it at 17 now, because if it's a 4-year list, then you could be hired at some point within that list. You know what I mean? So if you can be hired at 20 and a half or whatever it is, you can take the test at 17, I think. But it is in your teenage years, you can take it. And to me, that's part of our recruitment is you take it when you're 17 or 18 on a 4-year list. You may be good for 4 years, you know, and it's going to take a year to get in place, and you don't have to take the job. No, just because you pass it now and get called in for an interview doesn't mean we're going to kidnap you and make you become a police officer if you don't want to be. So that would be part of our, the recruitment.
What about White Plains High School? I know you probably have a good relationship with them, Chief, but me coming from a nonprofit background, isn't there a nonprofit that can partner with the school and the police department to offer a accredited program where they, like a prep program that they might get credit for? You know how people go to BOCES, BOCES exists for half the day for juniors and seniors if they're looking at a trade. Is there some kind of curriculum that can be developed to help them prep and understand what it is and how, it might be something they can get, credit for, and then be prepping for the test.
Criminal justice, at least a class or a law class a while ago, but it's a good question. I mean, finding out if there is something that they can get school credits for, not just an extracurricular type of thing or a voluntary thing. At least that'll show the people who are interested too. They're not wasting their maybe they're getting credits, but.
And especially with high school kids, it might help them move past the, preconceived notions and understand more that the police department is for them and, made up of the community.
Well,
just an idea.
We have an SRO and we do have a great relationship with the schools. I think that should be part of our efforts is to try to set something up with the schools in the high school for that. I said 17 and 18, it's a great time, to get a hold of young people and let them know what it's about, and even hand them out an application. Let them throw it in the garbage. But
yeah, right.
You get 25.
No, but it might.
You get 25% throwing it out.
Yeah.
That could be 50, 60 kids right there, just in one shot.
And as someone that writes grants, I'm sorry, Rev, as someone who writes grants, I'm happy to help in any way. I mean, maybe there's a way they get school credit and they get the, application fee covered by some kind of funding that we can apply for,
What's the follow-up on the police explorers?
What do you mean?
Is there a way, I know we have a list, but is there a way to tap into them when they get that 17, 18-year-old age?
Oh, we do. And a lot of those kids become explorers because they want to be cops and because they want to learn how to become police officers. So yeah, that's a super minority of the kids in White Plains. We're talking about when we were at our biggest, maybe 20 kids, but they were dedicated and they came week to week and they got insight onto the inner workings of the police departments so that they can make an informed decision on whether they want to be a police officer or not. And we try to steer those kids right to the test. And as a matter of fact, this test, I know 4 or 5 kids that took the test just because it worked out with their age. The part, the part that kind of sucks is, so a kid that's 15 this past year wasn't able to take the test, and now he has to wait 4 years to take it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? That's the part that Wade was trying to address with giving it every 2 years. But unfortunately, unless the state moves on something, we're not going to be able to do anything about that.
But see, that's the problem. Those ideas are important ideas, like every 2 years. I think we should you know, propose it to the state. I mean, it's the governor that wanted all the
Right.
municipalities to do better.
Right.
The state as a whole needs to do better.
Right. I agree.
You know, we also steer them to not just White Plains. You know, White Plains is the focus, but we talk about law enforcement in general. So those kids are steered to, like Wade said, the probation, state courts, correction, fire department, EMS. We just want to get them in, you know, the field somewhere, and then they can figure out where they want to end up once they get in.
And we used to give this test every 2 years. They just, them, based on the numbers that we were hiring, they decided it wasn't cost effective to give it every 2 years. For our purposes, every 2 years gives us a really good pool of candidates. So that could be a great recommendation, and it may be an issue of whether we can swing it. But I know that there's you know, like a lot of this stuff we're talking about, there are cost factors, and sometimes they're not evident. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it costs to give the test every 2 years, but I know that 3,000 to 5,000 people take the test, and that is logistically taxing for the city. So, but we used to do it. But I understand their reasoning for going to 4 years. But it's a valid recommendation. It certainly would help the police. I think it doesn't hurt us. It doesn't hurt us to have a new list every 2 years.
Well, the bottom line is going to be recruiting. That's the main thing. Recruiting.
And but the point is, it may help from that end, is that you're not, you know, if you take a test and you don't score well, and you know that, first of all, you take the test, it doesn't go into effect for almost a year. And then if you bombed it or just didn't do well enough, you're out of it for 4 years. For White Plains residents or anybody else, you know, in the meantime, they may be able to take 2, 3, 4 more police tests, decide they don't want to be a cop, move on to something else in that 4 years when they know that they are not reachable. It just gives more opportunity to the people who are interested in becoming law enforcement if they don't do great on the first one. I mean, I think I took the test at least twice. I didn't get hired off the first list. You know, who knows what if I.
No, I'm sorry, Chief. Yeah, but during the interview, you said a couple of things I didn't agree with.
I had long hair at the time and a mustache.
Another thing, I know there's an age cutoff. Like I think it's 32 or 36, and it is. What was it?
35.
35. And I wonder why that is, because to me, if you hire somebody who's 38 years old, seasoned, been through everything, you know, used to be a counselor, whatever. I mean, I don't know why they have a cutoff at the end when I think, you know, you might get more maturity. You know, guys, you know, a dad has a family, he's established, but, oh, I can't take the test now because I'm too old. But I'm, you know, I run 10 miles a day. I'm, you know, I know it's a state. Is that a state thing or is that a city?
No. I know there was a lawsuit, and then there was no age limit, and then it got reinstated. So that's a good thing we can look into. And there's also military credit. So if you're 35 and you're in the military for 4 years, 5 years, you can be hired up to age 39 or 40 or whatever your military service adds on to it. So that is one exception. So I don't know. It's a good question if it's a person, if it's a city thing or a state thing.
Yeah, Judy and Rev, what do you guys feel about that? Like maturity wise, do you think it should be considered maybe removing the age limit? Because I think, you know,
I think a more mature person will have more, you know, relationships with different people, different venues, different attitudes and stuff like that. So, I mean, Chief Lyman is always hitting me up to still take the fireman's test, you know. You know, so I think police officers should be able to be, you know, I don't see why age limit should occur there.
Yeah, and also, you know, it can be someone's dream. They always want to become a cop, and they went another route. They you know, they were a dentist or a doctor or a nurse or whatever, and then one day, you know what? I want to chase that dream again. Oh no, you're too old. You're 37 years old. I'm 30. Too old. The 37 is the old 20, you know? So I think that, and also they said, the young brain, a 19-year-old kid,
Oh boy, yes,
they're not ready sometimes. The 21-year-old may not be ready sometimes, but a 35-year-old, who's that just,
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I got hired when I was 28. If I would have got hired when I was 21, I would have screwed this up.
Yeah.
Period.
I got hired when I was 22. When I passed the test, I had to change my whole lifestyle.
You hear me?
What was it?
I agree. I think
yeah, right.
As long as they're in good health and can pass the physical aspects, I don't think there's an issue.
And just so you know, the other thing, I'm not trying to, I kind of agree with you that the age limit is somewhat could be arbitrary. But let's say you took you took the test. I believe this is accurate. Let's say you're 34 years old. As long as you pass it and you're eligible on the list, you can be hired for the duration of that list.
Okay.
Meaning, so you could be hired at 36, 37, 38 because you were established on that list. You were under the age. I don't think that you're cut off at 35 and saying, sorry, you're no longer eligible. It's just over 35. I don't think you can establish yourself on any list.
Okay.
But I will find out if that is our local thing and the state, and if it's our local thing, what's it based on, and maybe that's something we can look at. We don't get a lot, just so you know, and I don't know which comes first. We don't get a lot because there's not as much interest after you turn a certain age, or we don't get a lot because they know they can't take the test. I don't know which is accurate, but we do. We get some people who are change of life and older or ex-military, and they're 29, 30, 31, 32 years old. But it's not a lot, just so you know. It's not we're not crossing off a ton of people who are aging out, so to speak.
Okay. All right, good. All right. Moving right along. What else do I have here? Oh, the psychological part. You said there's a lot of information on the psychological exam and pretty much what they were looking at. But it didn't say, it mentions screening mostly unstable applicants, emotional stability standards, display personality traits and characteristics that render them poorly suited to perform essential job functions in the public safety field. And it's pretty much a passive fail determination. But my thing was, the mindset as far as being like a guardian over warrior mindset, that type of thing that I don't think the psychological exam, looks into. And we mentioned they may have businesses out there, companies that can sort of like, evaluate a person's mindset in that regard. And Captain Spencer mentioned, if there's somebody out there that does it, and you guys can do some research, and another agency says, yeah, we use them, and they're that's the golden standard, it might be something to look into. Just because, and it's any officer. You can have somebody who just wants to be a cop because they watch Starsky and Hutch their whole life, and Beretta, and they just want to chase the bad guys, and they see all the glamour and jumping out of windows, or you see the guy who wants to be a cop because he just sees the pain of people and he wants to be that guy they can help solve some problems. So like this, if they can evaluate that, find somebody that can help with that aspect of it. Finding the person with the with the guardian type mindset. I want to help, I want to serve, I want to make the community better, rather than I just want to lock up bad guys. So
I think it does do that to a certain extent. There is a law enforcement component, but personnel did say that they would reach out to the company to talk about the warrior versus guardian, to see if their understanding of that is part of the law enforcement specific assessment part, or as you said, a recommendation that we look into a psychological service or something that deals with the type of mindset that maybe that we're looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the organization Noble. I don't know if Cap, you remember Noble? Yeah,
Yeah.
they may be able to make some recommendations. I'm sure they because they actually, always talk about the guardian mindset over the warrior mindset. So they may have some companies that do it already. Just help out. Let me see. Anything else? Oh yeah. This came out at the last meeting. Mental health evaluation for officers. After a traumatic event, maybe having making a policy or procedure that after a traumatic event you have to go talk to Dr. So and so. Just that's the standard. It's not, we don't ask you okay, you need to talk to somebody. No, you have to. This way that the officers are being assessed and evaluated. Either after a traumatic event or after a series of traumatic events. To try to take the stigma out of going to see a professional therapist. So that was mentioned at the last overreaching the large group meeting. So I was going to put that into our recommendations. Judy and Rev.
Sounds good.
So you said mandate a psychological visit after a traumatic event.
Yes, and then you're gonna have to I guess document what a traumatic event is.
Yeah, right. I mean,
yeah, but after this event that reaches this level, you have to go see Dr. So and so.
I think that's super important, but I also think how you define traumatic event, because if it's an on the job traumatic event, there are also people that you can tell are struggling. I mean, most police officers that have committed heinous crimes are dealing with stuff at home, not necessarily on the job. So how do you identify that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with it appropriately? I mean, just my thought.
No, and that's from this, like we mentioned before, the sergeant, first line supervisor should definitely know their people and know who's going through what. But you're right, a lot of stuff happens at home. Then a combination of the two. You have a bad day at home and you see some bad things at work, and it's just the perfect storm. So, alrighty, I don't have anything else in mind. I'm gonna write this up and send this back out again. But Judy, Rev, you got anything else you want to bring to the table?
Nope, sounds good to me. I'm just interested in the 2-year question about the test, and Chief says he's going to get back and tell us about the age situation. Is it state, federal, or what? Because I think those two things once again are critical in regards to recruitment for anybody, minorities as well as the majority. I think there's some good people out there that can do some things. I'll give you a perfect example, and this is like sounds a little crazy, but major churches today are no longer looking at younger preachers to take over their churches because of the lack of community, a lack of relationships that somebody dealing with a community-based organization needs. So if we're looking at men and women that's going to be the guardians, as you say, they have that mentality. If you're old as Captain Spencer, you ain't looking to be a warrior, but you can't do it. Okay, you're a guardian. You'll talk your way out of it before you will wrestle somebody down. So
exactly.
the idea. I love you, Spencer. I told you I was gonna humble you. Amen. So I think that's really the maturity of an individual is very important. There's a young man, a foster child that used to be with me, is back with me now, but he was the star of the Explorers program in Greenberg. If he would have stayed with me, he would probably be a police officer right now.
Wow.
But now he got an ankle monitor around his ankle. Okay. So, just if things could have been more shaped for him, he was perfect. Perfect. He was the star, But, so, and he talks about it, how he wanted to be a police officer,
Wow.
But I think that we ought to try to figure out. I was going to offer as well, if we're going to talk about community engagement as well, that my church or maybe another church that has a parking lot could be available as well for tests as well. So there's something to look at. But some people are going to deal with that money for that meter.
Wow. All righty. Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned like, I guess people's situations even before they get hired. I was watching this thing on Amazon Prime called Small Acts. I don't know if you guys heard of that. A friend of mine recommended it to me, and I watched episode 3, part of it yesterday, and it's based in London, England. But it's this police officer. He was like a forensic guy. He had his PhD in forensic, whatever, and he wanted to be a cop. So he joined the force, and his father was really mad at him because his father was assaulted by the police, always harassed by the police. But he wanted to be a police officer to change that. And in the academy, he says, "I want to be a police officer to change the way you guys police." And it was, and when he was being interviewed, they asked him, "Anybody in your family ever been arrested?" It's like, well, why is that important? Anybody in your family ever have any police contacts? And it's like, if he says yes, you're off the list. Goodbye. But a lot of times you can't control your family. You can't control where you come from. I want to be a cop. Don't worry. If my brother was arrested, my sister, my dad, it shouldn't matter. So that's just one thing that, hiring the right police officers and not disqualifying police officers for the sins of their friends or relatives. That's a huge issue. So, but if you guys can just take a look at it, it's called Small Acts. It's on Amazon Prime. It's a powerful episode. Just each episode is different situations. They're not the same. It's not a storyline continuing. So episode 3 is really good. But
check it out. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. Well, I'm good. If we don't speak to each other, enjoy your holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. Happy New Year.
Happy holidays. Wade, you're going to give me a call, right?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a call.
All right.
Jimmy, are you going to give me a call?
I'm going to give you a call, Judy. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right, Spencer, I'll see you tomorrow.
Everyone.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye,
Bye, everyone.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
3:30, okay? All right.
Bye.
Then I'll give my holiday greetings, okay? But Judy, happy holidays. Karen, I'll see you tomorrow, 3:30.